Hello, this is Father David. Uh, back in Hot Springs again. It's not hot. It's quite nice and cool. Uh, Day 13 of the Nativity fast. Uh, Chapter 13 is the faith of the three young men. We're returning to the theme from yesterday of Daniel and the lion's den, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the three young men in the furnace. Uh, a lot of times, especially within the Orthodox tradition, bit of a side note. These three youths, if you listen on Holy Saturday, the day before Pascha, this is read. This story is read, and about halfway through or so, we stop using. I was raised a Baptist, so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those are the names I know. Uh, but the Babylonian names within the fuller Orthodox Old Testament, in the Greek translation of the Old Testament, uh, the Babylonian names for them are used. Daniel was called uh, Belshazzar, and then uh, there's Shadrach is Hananiah, Meshach is Mishael, and Abednego is Azariah. This is just something that different names, but it's the same people. Um, these three young men are mentioned, as I said yesterday, as those who were thrown in the fiery furnace, and the son of the gods, a fourth man. The church uh, puts forward as the pre-incarnate Christ, comes and is with them and turns the fire into dew, um, a moist whistling wind, as the story says. But there's yesterday we talked about how the kingdoms of this world will become the kingdom of our Lord and of His Christ. It's a very triumphant, you know, sounding, kind of, yeah, get back at them, get back at the bad guys or whatnot. And there's this, sense that we can really fall into. Father Tom, in today's chapter, takes us sort of to the other, uh, it swings the other way. Because, in speaking against, principalities and powers of this world, it's very easy to think of our enemies being those people, and even the demonic powers of the air, the invisible enemies. It's easy to think that because we serve the God who will one day overthrow all of this and set Himself up supremely enthroned. Now He's already enthroned in the heavens, um, in seated at the right hand of God. So it's easy to think, to turn this into sort of I guess, magical thinking, that we can somehow manipulate the goings on of this world. And Father Tom doesn't pull any punches. He actually he calls out something that I participated in myself growing up, and maybe several people who are listening to this did as well. The sort of name it and claim it theology, which is that since God is enthroned in the heavens and rules over all as He does, that we can take these particular verses that say, uh, whatever, if you ask anything believing, you shall receive. Or if you say unto this, if you have faith as a mustard seed, and you say to this mountain, be thou removed and be thrown into the sea, it shall be done for you. Or two or three of you agree on anything, you shall have whatsoever you say. These um, verses that Christ tells His apostles in a particular context. Um, there are groups that take these to a real extreme and say, well, our God is ruler over all, and so therefore, we can issue these statements with His authority and have whatsoever we say and name it and claim it, as if it were already ours. But the faith of the three young men is sort of the other side of this coin, that we do have a God that can and has shown his power over temporal authorities like Nebuchadnezzar. But there's also the sense in which, these three young men told Nebuchadnezzar prior to being thrown into the furnace, exactly what a proper faith in the God of Israel looks like. And it is a faith that is exemplified in the Nativity that we are celebrating now, not in the sense of, a glorious, triumphant political Messiah, like we talked about earlier, several days ago, but of a humble, meek nobody, born into a backwater town in Palestine as a baby, helpless, defenseless, humanly speaking. They too were, in the moment, powerless against Nebuchadnezzar. He had built his idol and said, unless you fall down to this in front of this statue and worship, when you hear the music, you're going to be thrown into a fiery furnace. And so this, they did not come over to Nebuchadnezzar and claim that their God was going to save them, rescue them, keep them from going into the furnace. But they said, when Nebuchadnezzar comes to them and says, if you do not worship, you'll be immediately cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God that will deliver you out of my hands? This is what they said. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image which you have set up. They always had this understanding that God owes them nothing. God does not owe us any kind of, any kind of life of pleasure or preservation from suffering. There is, as Father Tom said, in a word, according to the witness of the three young men, real faith and genuine trust in God makes no deals and no claims. It is completely and totally ready, as was shown supremely in Jesus, to accept whatever the Father wills and provides, knowing that his faithful ones will never be put to shame. Only such faith can change fire into dew and deliver from death. So we understand that there is a double sense within faith in God. There's the now. There is the not yet. The now and the not yet. God now may see to it, may allow for us to experience real loss, real deprivation, real suffering. He may not ever even explain himself in this life. He's not entitled to. One of my seminary professors always called God, the Father, the old man. You have to square with the old man. But you always know that even if you go into the fiery furnace, that there will come a day of reckoning. And the ones who put you there, if you are innocent, will be held to account. Those unjust kingdoms will not have the last word. Our job is to be innocent, trusting, and willing to believe that God is always good. That regardless of what he allows, even when it, and especially when it does not make sense, and there is no rational explanation in the moment for why we may be suffering as we are suffering, that we understand that we are not abandoned, we are not alone, that the babe in the manger came to be poor and persecuted and hunted down and unfairly treated, betrayed for 30 pieces of silver as a man, and turned over to the authorities unjustly, lied about, and crucified. But those systems will not last always. And the one who is the just, fair, and righteous judge will have the last say. So we have, of course, this dual faith of the three young men, that our God is in the heavens and he does whatever he pleases, but that he is able and one day will set up his kingdom in this world with us for the life of the world and its salvation. So, God bless you. It's Father David, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.